Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the brand new rifle and SMG that got put into the game. And obviously they are part of the battle pass. If you're looking to get them, they are at tier 15 and tier 31 as part of the free battle pass. Obviously I've gone through and unlocked them so I can level them up, try them out, get a good feel for it. This time it is a little bit different. Even though it looks like only having 2 guns, we also have a couple different modifiers with the Tech 9 that make it into 2 other versions of it itself that are completely different. This is one of the first times we really had this with weapons. So I'm going to go over some of the base stats, tell you whether or not it's meta, what the builds look like. I already had the opportunity to level stuff up. So if you want to see this gun in action, it's level 52. I've used it out with max attachments. I'm going to go ahead and post the gameplay over on my second channel. So you can go ahead and check that out over on Rebirth, which is just more JGod, linked near the top of the description. We'll go ahead and jump into it. Just a heads up, my G Fuel code is currently triple discounted all the way until the 16th of this month. So if you want to take advantage, try something new, stock up, or whatever, you want to try the new Nick Merckx flavor or whatever, go ahead and check it out. So pretty much this part was a little bit tricky. I ended up having to do the same things that I normally have to do on all of these videos, and I test various things. So that's what we're going to look at right here. So we did different damage testing. We did some aim down sight testing. We did some distance testing. We did some recoil testing, rate of fire, aim down sight, movement. We go through the various things. So right here, I'm testing the aim down sight of the weapon. I'm ADSing and getting the mountain mechanic. Over here, we're getting Tech 9 rate of fire. I'm testing the rate of fire while firing full auto because it is a semi-auto. And then there's also a full auto, and then there's also a burst. So we had to test the weapon different times. And unfortunately, even though it doesn't say it, there's actually different damage values, which is pretty unfortunate because it made it a pain to test. I was like, let me just double check, make sure that they didn't do it because they didn't mention it. Boom, lo and behold, it's completely different damage profiles. There's also an issue with this rifle is it comes in with a built-in optic that actually has a like a sniper scope. When we go ahead and check this out right here, when you see this right here, one thing I will point out, and where I'll talk about ADS speeds of these, what happens is when you fully mount, you can see it says hold to steady aim. This is normally with sniper rifles. If you had a 3X on there, it doesn't do that same thing. If we have a reflex, it's obviously not going to do that when you fully ADS. And the same thing with the reflex. And so there's a lot of good things going for these guns. It just depends on how you want to look at them. Now let's go ahead and look at the overall stats of these and whether or not I think they'll be meta. So we'll focus on the rifle, which is very good in my opinion. One of the great things with the 40 round mag that we have on here is it does 1690 per mag, which isn't all that great, but it's plenty enough to down multiple players. And while using this weapon, it feels like it hits hard. The cool thing is it's always 5 to 7 shots to kill, regardless if you're up close or you're at super far ranges. The damage drop off is right at 26 meters. Obviously, when you stack on the right barrel, you're going to get the extra 10% or 15% or whatever boost that it gets associated with that. But the rate of fire is very slow. This is pretty in line with like the AMAX when it was lower. The C58, it's going to feel a lot closer to that. But this thing actually has more recoil than C58. It does have a little bit more kick, so I think it could be hard, a higher skill gap for some players, but I think good players are just going to be able to handle this because it is mostly just vertical. You need 1 chest shot to get the 6-shot TTK up close, which is stupid good. Like that isn't that's better than almost all SMGs, with the exception of the ones that just dominate, right? But right here, so you don't really get penalized too hard. If you put on a reflex sight, this could be a great sniper support. If you put on some ADS attachments, I think you'll be fine with that. When it comes to the second damage drop off, you need 1 headshot if you're getting all chest shots. If you're only getting these limbs and then all of a sudden you want to get headshots involved, you need 2 headshots. So that's why there's a little bit of a slash there. And that'd be a 6-shot to kill at range, which is 565. But again, with these slow firing weapons, the longer you are in a gunfight and not hitting your shots, the TTK, you are penalized very hard by not hitting those shots. And the reason why we're rocking this 40 round mag is we'll see it when we get down here. The base movement on this thing isn't all that great. I think it's designed to be a slower weapon because it's built in with a sniper optic, right? Essentially a sniper optic, even though it doesn't have the optical zoom of a sniper. The base ADS speed with that optic that comes with it, just like the AUG, is 434. So very slow. Reload, Pretty good though. It's right up there with the QBZ, and this is with no attachments for these individual tests. Then I decided to swap out the optic, and it'll actually shave off 84 milliseconds here. You can see it cut down from 434 down to 350. Huge savings there. Put on a reflex, you actually get the ADS down to 317, which is a solid number. So that's the regular optic that it comes with in a 50 round mag. You're going to raise that like aim down sight by 100 milliseconds. So you get penalized pretty hard. The 50 mag is almost not worth it in this case. It's like really slowing you down. Then right here, we have the 3X plus the 50. So you can see there's like a compounding effect here. You're going to get the 350 ADS, but since it's a little bit faster, you're not getting penalized quite as hard. It only goes up by 67 milliseconds, which a 3X with this is pretty in line with like the Krig QBZ, right around 400 milliseconds. Remember the AMAX, fully meta build AMAX was 417 for the longest. So that it could still be a pretty solid build, and you could always make it faster by foregoing the underbarrel for like a rear grip, or, you know, maybe not putting the barrel. This is without the barrel on, so it definitely gets slower on top of that. But that's just kind of point out that it is pretty slow if you put on the 50 regardless. So straightforward, this is a solid gun at range. 678 puts it faster TTK, right in line. But the key is you only need that 1 to 2 headshots, which isn't too bad. I don't think it's necessarily meta because it's going to be a higher skill gap. But on rebirth, this thing's going to be a monster. The TTK just feels so good. Let's go ahead and go on to the SMG. So there's a lot of different things to talk about with the SMG. The base, like semi-auto, your trigger finger, I don't know, some people don't have that, but 414 is what I came to be with the trigger finger 3 different times. I tested it 3 different times, and I ended up getting the same rate of fire, which was an average of 414. The damage profile on this is very high. So if you manage to get the 2 chest shots in, at least 2 chest shots, and the rest are all stomach or limbs, you will get a 580 TTK, which is nothing special for the SMG category. If you manage to get all chest shots and 2 headshots, this is where it's going to shine 400, but that's so rare and so unforgiving with the semi-auto that I think the semi-auto version kind of trash, unless maybe you're using it for range. But even then, the TTK just isn't all that great. It's very unforgiving. We'll get into the other options, which are still pretty solid. So we have the SMG movement. Even though the burst attachment says it increases your movement, I didn't detect any difference. 217 ADS, so it's nothing special. It's like an average SMG, but you could obviously make it faster if you wanted to put on a Serpent Wrap or whatever the case is. Reload is right in line with the Modern Warfare MP5. A little bit slower than the Mac 10, and you can go up to a 48 round mag, but obviously with only 24 bullets and you're able to take on multiple people, you might not need to go the biggest mag. I put that here because the damage per mag is huge, but the problem is very too unforgiving, very too high a skill gap. I think you'll see content creators make videos on this, but they're going to have to be shooting people a couple shots before. Not that the TTK is that bad, but it's just so inconsistent. All right, so the burst, it gets a little bit interesting because you always have to factor in the rate of fire of the actual 3-round burst, and then you have a burst delay, which I have here. So I had to go through manually and kind of modify the numbers and actually count by frames how much time it took for it to fire 7 shots so that you'd end up with that individual TTK for that number of shots. So pretty much these were the exact values that it took to fire the weapon 7 shots or whatever the case is there. So overall, TTK on the burst, not particularly special, but up close, up to about 14 meters, you do manage to get 1 headshot in the mix. Your TTK drops down to 563. You manage to get 2 or 3 headshots in the mix. It'll drop down to 450, which is stupid broken. So overall, not crazy here. Could be better, could be worse. It kind of just depends on how you want to look at it and how often you're going to use it. But I think the one that will probably be a little bit more leaning towards is this last one, because one thing I will also mention is with the burst and the full auto, there's an integrated suppressor. And then right here at the different damage values, we end up with the 988 full auto rate of fire, but the DPS per mag drops significantly. So you got to be a little more conservative because the fire rate is stupid fast, good. But it's very unforgiving if you miss some shots. So what we're looking at here is more than likely you're going to get a 607 TTK. If you manage to get mostly chest shots, you need 7 out of the 10, which is a lot. or if you get, 6 out of 10, and then you get a headshot in the mix, you're more than likely probably going to end up with this 546 TTK. So overall, I think the full auto is going to feel really good, but you're going to do a lot of reloading. And that's kind of how this one ends up working out. So that's kind of my overall thoughts of it. I'm going to end up adding these to the master doc so you kind of have an idea of what they are and how they should work. But overall, you probably should still follow the meta builds when it comes to the weapons, which I'll go ahead and show you right now. So obviously with the rifle, what you're going to do is agency suppressor. With this one, you could go ranger or task force. That's always the trade-off, right? Normally, I'd probably go with the ranger just because this thing is a little bit slower. The 3X, pretty solid option. Go with the 40 round mag. It's not going to hurt your aim down sight. You can see if you went this one, all these hurt your aim down sight, which is kind of a normal thing. But we can go with the 40 round mag, and then you can go with the field agent grip, which is going to help with the vertical recoil. And that's pretty much the base build that I'd probably use for this brand new EM2. Personally, I don't think I'm going to be a huge fan of this particular SMG, but I'd probably just go the standard meta build that most people will go with. Obviously, if you go with the full auto, you'll probably want the extended mag. If you go with the burst, maybe you can get away with not using that because the damage per mag is way higher on those guns with the standard 24 versus the 48. You could put on an optic if you want, or you can go the standard route that most people tend to go, which is this kind of build that we have right here that kind of falls in line. So like I said, I think they have an integrated suppressor. I still have to do more testing on this particular element because it says position concealment, but when you look at the verbiage on maybe this suppressor, it says sound suppression. So it's like, well, which one is it? Is it like this one keeps you off the mini map, but you still make your gun still sounds loud? Not 100% sure. We'll have to do some more testing on that. Obviously, this weapon has a lot of different stats. I just want to give you guys the information pretty much as quick as possible to kind of help you out. If you enjoyed the video, learned something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Reminder, G Fuel currently discounted using my code JGOD or the link near the top of the description until the 16th. If you want to check out some gameplay with the new rifle, I have it fully leveled up pretty much over on my second channel, just more JGOD. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.